Hi, Davi here, and today we have a new episode in the Art Review series. And today we'll be checking out the work of Twintail here on X or Twitter, or Two-Pronged. It's Korean for two-pronged. Interesting. I found this artist recently, and I think it was this one. Was it this one? Or maybe... basically, it's a bunch of fan art of these characters from the new Gundam anime. G-Gux something. I'm not sure how to pronounce the actual name. It has a very long... What's this one? G-Q-U-X? G-Gux. As you can see, they're using Clip Studio Paint as their art software. Interesting. So let me just see this one too. So yeah, most of their work is just like line based. And when they do add color, they're mostly just flats. I don't even see that much like cell shading, it's just flats. And even zooming in, you can tell they do sharpen their final like illustrations. Which is interesting, like how can you make a compelling sort of piece without it necessarily being like a full-on like rendering or painting? Now here you can see a little bit of shading, some shadows, but you don't even see like a light area. We've seen some pieces, some artworks out there where they will add like a spot where it's just white that's supposed to demonstrate like the light hitting the body, so it looks kind of highly exposed in some parts. But in this case, it's all flats, but the only addition really are these like shadows here and there, right? And you don't have any spots where it's just like pure, just white. So it does look a lot more fuller, but it doesn't have that much of a volume. I mean, adding the shadow is important because it makes it look a little more 3D, but it's not as intense. I was kind of expecting maybe they would use maybe a gradient. I mean, they do have one here, but it's more of a hairstyle thing, not necessarily for... it's not really for adding volume, it's more of... because that's your actual like hair color, I think. But yeah. They do have pretty clean lines, so and it's pretty dynamic, meaning it can go from thick to thin fairly, not quickly, but it's just not a consistent line all throughout. I do notice that there's a bit of a hierarchy. Like the lines on the outside are going to be a little, on average, they're going to be a lot thicker than say the lines on the inside. You will notice this more in the folds maybe, or in some anatomical details. I'm guessing this is the rib cage maybe, right? They're a lot thinner, although it's not like a large difference. It's pretty subtle, almost unnoticeable, like when you zoom out. Let me just zoom out here, but it's clearly there, right? Let me just look at the shadows again. Maybe they're using multiply for the shadows. Let me just see it. Because sometimes I have issues with adding shadows if I do it on a new layer, usually via multiply. It sometimes ends up becoming a little too gray. So I'm not sure if they're... because I know there's this artist named ASK something. In one of her tutorials online, she mentioned how she doesn't do that. Like she will purposely pick the shadows herself or something like that. Like she doesn't want to rely too much on the layer modes sort of thing. And that's kind of why her artwork looks a lot more, colorful, I guess. Just because she has trained her hand to sort of just pick colors that kind of make sense but are not too like boring. So if you just... because I feel like when you use the multiply layer, I feel like you're outsourcing your thinking in a way to an extent. It's not always a bad thing, but it's just something that I've noticed maybe for myself. So let me just zoom in on this time lapse. So first draft, and then the second draft in blue. First draft in red, second draft in blue. And then some additional adjustments. So it does take a while for them to reach a level of drawing that's satisfactory, and then once they have like a good solid thing, then they sort of lock in and just do the line work, which is pretty intensive. But as you can see in the finished work or works, it works out. It's I guess a good investment of time of doing all of the sketches beforehand to like really polish up all of the the proportions, and stuff like that, the details, so you can just easily just add in those final like inks. Yeah, I think most of the time was on the drawing, on figuring out like this part, and then when you do the inks and the coloring, you can sort of like you're not brain dead, but you can sort of not think too much. And it reminds me of one of the things Feng Zhu, he's a famous concept artist. On his channel, he mentioned how he does enjoy rendering a lot, just because like once he has like an established concept, the rendering part is like the easiest part, just because he doesn't have to think too much. Because when you're designing something, figuring out the composition and stuff like that, it is harder. It does take a lot more of a mental load, but when you're rendering, it's more of like, it's just muscle memory for the most part. Obviously, for an amateur, if you're not as experienced, it's not gonna be as good because there's so much like conscious thought that's happening. But if you have enough experience, you can just sort of shut your brain off in a way and just enjoy the process. And you can even watch some, movies on the side, or listen to some kind of podcast. It's just gonna be a lot easier, right, to lock in once you have that experience. So it looks like they're being kidnapped here, these three characters from the Gundam anime, Jikuks. I haven't seen the recent episode. I think episode 6 is out. But what I do know, in the last episode, they recently found out, or this redhead chick, recently found out that hopefully I'm not spoiling, but this black haired chick it's a spoiler, kind of, she can apparently fly the Gundam as well, because like this specific mech has, like, it takes a different kind of being, like you need to be sort of special. I forgot the actual term, but all three of them can essentially pilot Gundams. And I think it's interesting, And this guy is also pretty, I think this redhead chick kind of likes the blue-haired guy a little bit. And I feel like there may be some tension between the black-haired chick and the redhead chick. Just because, I feel like for the redhead chick, she feels like she has more of a connection with the blue-haired guy just because they can both pilot the Gundam. So knowing that there's another chick or another girl, it's adding like a love triangle sort of dynamic. So I find that very interesting. Zooming in, we do see some RGB shift effect. It's not just in the edges, because usually when this effect is added on, it's usually going to be applied to just the edges. But here it's like all throughout the freaking image. Oh, by the way, the anime looks really good. Very like high quality, very clean, very crispy. But also, before they added the RGB shift effect, they did add like some noise texture, because even the noise texture has a little bit of that RGB shift in them. So that's pretty interesting. Right? Like, this is what I mean by the high exposure effect. Like, look at how white this is. So most of the color is going to be in the shadow. Oh, right. I mean, you see some color here, right? But it's not that. Like, it's the only one. And maybe this, what is this, a shoe or a sock? I think it's a shoe. Yeah, but again, most of the coloring is just flats. You don't really see like hatching in the line work, in the actual coloring. I do see some like a soft brush maybe being used there for the blush. It may be a slight gradient on top of this like head. Because you'll notice it's a bit more red here, and it becomes like a more skin tone kind of thing. It just gets lighter as you go further down. So there are, I guess, some gradients. But that's pretty much it. Not even shadows for this specific base. Very interesting. Let me just find some more stuff here. I do like the way, I'm not sure if I actually saw this bike in the anime, but I do like, I may have seen this before somewhere, but it's a cool looking bike or scooter. Although, wait, are you supposed to sit on this, or is it tire supposed to ride it where your lower leg is sort of laying flat? I'm not sure. So we have some cup noodles. By the way, I know it's bad if you eat it like a lot, but it's easy to eat, you know, and if you're poor, fuck it, you know. Yeah, zooming out, the lines look clean as hell, but zooming in, they're pretty sketchy. I guess they look clean because it's not cluttered, right? You don't have a bunch of unnecessary lines. Even if there are some slight imperfections here and there, you can see some like they almost look like bleeds sometimes, or sometimes the lines kind of overshoot, or they kind of they don't hit the other contradicting line. They have those little things, but because there's not a lot of cluttered lines, you don't see a lot of visual noise from the line work, so that contributes to the cleanliness. And also the silhouette, everything is just clean, right? The shapes are very clear, there's no nuance there. But again, this type takes time to do. We've seen like the previous time lapse where they did like the red draft and then the blue draft. Basically, they really spend a lot of time, most of the time, I think, figuring out like the composition, the pose, the design, and then once they've done that, then they can lock in on the line work and the coloring. I do see a soft edge over on this part, so I'm guessing they're using a mixer brush for that or a blending tool. But their brush work is all basic brushes, I think, not very like special. Or you know, it's fairly simple, which is something that I may not gravitate to, but I still like it. It's normal to like art that you yourself may not necessarily like doing. It's very normal. For example, abstract art, most of it is to me is shit, but there are some pieces that just look kind of cool. So even though I may not necessarily want to do it, it just, you know, I can't deny the coolness of that thing. So that's a long freaking receipt. Interesting. So I'm guessing she's drinking some boba. Right. I also like the outro of the anime, the ending sort of OP. Oh, am I saying it right? OP, or not the opening, but the ending video. Some canned food, some milk, maybe some meat, right? A tomato. Yeah, we see some gradients here as well, but technically the colors are just flat. Again, with the white sort of exposed, it's almost white. This sort of highlights over here, right? In the edges. But most of the color is going to be in shadow. So it's kind of like a backlit piece, meaning the sun or the light source is behind the character. Zooming in on the line work, is it perfect? To me, it's close to perfect. But you can still tell it's like manually done. And you can see like the artist's hand in it. So I do like that. But it's pretty clean. It's pretty clean. Yeah. So let me just find. Oh, I do like this one. Let's check this one out. This one too. The all green one. I'm not you. Okay. Whenever I see this, though, sometimes I'm worried, but I don't think I'm doing that. I think what they mean is, don't like copy the image and then paste it on your like art account, because there are accounts out there that post the images, and they advertise themselves as like an art account that features a bunch of artists. So maybe that's what it's for. So that's my understanding anyway. Zooming in, it kind of has like a soft light feel to it. Like there's a bit of a softness there, which makes it look like it looks like it was done, or this whole thing was done in tracing paper. Because for those of you who have used tracing paper, whenever you draw some inks on it and you overlay these tracing papers on top of each other, it does create like a soft light effect. or like a soft sort of edge rather effect. I think the chair and this sort of canvas stand, I think they're 3D assets. Looks like it anyway. I don't know. Anyway, look at how the outer lines are a lot thicker than the lines on the inside. So it creates some kind of visual hierarchy, which is very important for pieces like this. But again, do you see a lot of hatching lines? I don't think so. They're almost all like contour lines or detail lines, but you don't see like no black fill-ins, no cross hatching, any kind of hatch lines. It's all just contour lines and flats. Does it even have like lighting or shadows? It's just maybe a little bit. Is there a shadow here? Oh no, it's not. I think it's her like shorts underneath her skirt. Yeah. Yeah, this guy's kind of like a painter, you know. He's into like graffiti. He just likes I guess abstract art, because what he's seeing or what they can see when they're in this like mode, when they're riding this Gundam mechs, like they can see like this sort of universal like colorful sort of thing, and I guess he likes to capture that in his artwork. And he kind of does dress like a not less of a mechanic but more of a like a painter who does like paint jobs for like walls or cars, that kind of guy. That's the vibe. He is kind of twinkish though, so there you go. And I do like the episode that I recently watched, because people have mentioned that on Twitter anyway, or X, that it was basically him moaning the whole time, because there were a lot of scenes of him just like breathing a little too much, which is interesting and hot. But let's look at this one too. So it's fan art of these people like goofing around, right? It's so clean. I like it. I like how they're adding like a border to these highlights in the hair. You know, fan art is still interesting because you have to be really good in making sure that character looks like the character you're trying to make a fan art of. You know, and like you want to make it fit. Like you're still considering a bunch of things, especially with a piece like this where you're creating your own pose, creating like some kind of narrative, even if it's like simple. You kind of want to make it match the thing you're trying to reference. Yeah, the line work is good. The folds especially, like they know what they're doing with this thing, right? It's just so like I don't see any wasteful lines, in my opinion. You will see this too in like webtoon art. It's just very efficient. Let me see this one. I think it's an animation. The playing with the eyes. I'm guessing they're doing this in Calypso to Paint. Kind of cute. Let's open this one too. Now, this one's a lot more rougher, but the likeness is still there. Red hair, right? The uniform maybe. So I think this may be the guy version. Let me just translate this post. Full color commissions, we accept from the... Oh, it's more of a commission thing. Oh, look at that. Kawaii. Reminds me of that anime. Where... I know people hate it, but it's basically this guy who has to... Oh, I know, rent a girlfriend. Because like the main character, dude, has orange hair as well, I believe. And then his girlfriend is... kind of looks like this. Anyway. Oh, I think this is One Piece. Looks like it, because I've seen this like orange hair character before from the... Yeah, but even here, the line work is just clean, flats, some gradients, but that's it. which I think it's a kind of style that makes sense. It's a good like oh, nice feet. It's a good transition to like animation. Because in animation, you can't be too painterly. You have to be specific with your lines, and most of your coloring is like flats, so it's gonna look like this. Well, this was a bit rough, but it's still heavy and reliant on like the line work and stuff like that. Oh, I love the folds. I love the folds. Even here, you can tell they're like jeans, and you can tell like the bottom part has been folded up because it's probably too big, as you can tell. Even at the hips, you can see she's kind of unzipped, and it's kind of big. The pants are really that big. Nice feet too. Look at that. Oh, so hot. Come on, Becca. I'm gonna save this in my reference folder. Same thing here. Again, clean lines, just good, solid line work. But again, zooming in, is it perfect? I mean, look at these parts over here. Let me just show you. Like you will see some openings, some, where it just sort of it's just short of meeting the other line. Sometimes certain lines like overshoot, right? But it's not that bad. I think it in a way it makes it look more manually done. Like if everything is so like perfect, I think it's gonna look too much. It's not bad, but it's just it kind of loses a bit of that manual human touch. Nice eyes. I like the face. And I think this pen has a little bit of a bleed in the end. So it's kind of like a felt tip pen to an extent. Or a very inky, like rolling ballpoint pen vibe. Or just I know gel pens bleed a little bit. That's kind of why I don't like gel pens, because it's too like smooth. And sometimes it just spreads out to the paper. I like a little more control, which I think you can achieve easier with the ballpoint pen. The only downside of the ballpoint pen, because I think ballpoint pens use kind of like an oil-based ink. The only major downside is the fact that it does bleed here and there, or it does not bleed, but it does leave like blotches of ink sometimes. But I do like the control. Is that meat? Who knows? But let me just see the sketch. Yeah, so they're drawing in a graphing pad or graphing paper. Pretty cool. Even their traditional work is still clean, so that's pretty. Oh, they're smoking a cigarette, kind of like a rebellious girl. Maybe she's going through a phase, right? It happens. Let me check this one out. Oh, it's just a portrait. I was thinking it was like a full body thing, but yeah, I do like this one the most. If you know, you know. This one's kind of cool too. Yeah, all throughout, like there are some stylistic changes here and there. I guess depending on the project, but the common thing that they have in their style is like this very deliberate line work. Right? I want to see this. This one does have quite a bit of like soft brushes, or soft edges rather. So they have like a nice leather jacket. Is it a leather, like a puffy leather jacket thing? Some jeans with some like, I'm not sure what these black spots are. Is it oil, or maybe it's just like part of the design? But yeah, definitely a lot more soft edges here, which does create or give it a lot more volume, because it does create like a soft or a small area of a gradient essentially. But even in the back, you can see some darker spots here, some soft edges. You can even see some reflected lighting here in the arm. The value of the slower part of this jacket is a lot lighter than say this side or this kind of shadow. So it does give this drawing a lot more volume. Am I'm not sure if it's fan art or something. Who knows? Okay, so we have a chibi version of the redhead sort of character, and then we have this kind of the love interest. It's kind of like a love interest. Oh, I love this hand, like the knuckles showing. Look at that, pretty cool. Well done. Well done. Again, the borders of those highlights in the hair. Yeah, the face seems a lot more 3D because of these soft edges, like in the nose, in the lips over here, right? Like in that space between that light and shadow, I think it does help give it more volume. Really cool. Very clean. Very clean. But again, if you zoom in on this one, I mean, you will see some parts where it's kind of overshooting. It's not too clean, not too perfect, but it's overall, again, not the lines are not cluttered, but also the way it's rendered underneath is not too complicated. It's kept simple, but works. And you will see this a lot. Like a lot of artists have like simple, you know, methodologies. Oh, I think there's another guy from the anime. I'm guessing he got beat up. Oh no. I do see an RGB shift effect, but again, the line work is so freaking nice. The mood too of these colors, super cool. Look at that. Like this is web. I'm guessing this is a little more common in like webtoons, just because I know in webtoons they do color their pages more than say actual manga, right? The only hatch lines here they're more like details really for the bruises, this beaten up eye, but that's pretty much it. I do see a lot more black fill-ins, as you can see here, which does give a more dramatic effect as well. But yeah, it's a great way to save time, first of all, because you don't have to like render it or add color or add any kind of like hatch lines. So that's like a big benefit there. But in their work, I don't think it's not too common in their work, I think. Some pages, panels. Not sure where this is from, but I like those small shadows in like the fashion, or in the clothing they have. Sorry, I'm having hiccups. Oh yeah, I think in the anime, just based on like the ending video, or they kind of have a thing as well. I don't know if they're playing the Yuri card a little bit. Like there's a bit of tension maybe with these two for some reason. Or it could be just, you know, like a girl thing, like a playful thing, but the thing is, she also likes the blue-haired guy. I'm not sure how this one feels. I think she's kind of more nonchalant and just doesn't really care too much. For now, just, you know, just based on the episodes I've seen so far. But, oh, let me check this one. Oh shit, I think I did see like a clip. No, well, not a clip, but like an image or on a YouTube thumbnail or something. And I believe she's also, because I did see like a white-haired character for the feature, so maybe it's this one, who knows. I'm waiting to see the next, I mean, it's already out now, I just haven't watched it yet, but again, with the highlights, they're adding this border effect. I'm guessing it's on its own layer, and then you just hit on border effect and add like, you can even adjust like the color, the thickness of these lines, right? Again, with that border for the whole character, it's in this case it's like orange. Look at that. But again, flats, some highlights, but the line work I think is pretty clean. But it does have a little bit of texture, I think. Like it does have like a grittier edge to it, like a slight jitter, which I think makes it look a little more like traditionally done. And I think it does contrast or does complement the more flat way of rendering or the cell shading underneath. Pretty cool. Yeah, so that's for this art review of, what's her name again? Twin something? Twin tail or two-pronged in Korean. I know sometimes Google Translate gets the translate. It's not, sometimes it takes it too literally. So who knows, but yeah. So I'm going to link this page in the description below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.